Hey, y'all. This is Big Bear coming at you from Stanley, North Carolina. I've got a helper today. You can see him running around the car. You might hear him, and he's a great guy. All right. Um, it's Sarah's child. Today, we're working on the RAVE diet and lifestyle. We're going to talk about osteoporosis and acidic diets. In fact, the scientific literature states clearly that a calcium deficiency disease due to a low calcium intake from natural diets simply does not exist. In other words, all diets provide adequate calcium to meet our health needs. That's according to John A. McDougall's Medicine. Here we are, doing the RAVE. Your entire body chemistry changes according to the type of food you eat, and that has consequences to your health. Because of our change in diet during the last century, American bodies have become very acidic, and virtually all degenerative diseases, ranging from cancers to tooth decay, are associated with excess acidity in our bodies. Blood acid levels are measured on a pH scale from 1 to 14. Ideally, your blood should be slightly alkaline at 7.4. A soda, for example, has a pH of 2 and is highly acidic, whereas tap water has a pH of 8.4, which is very alkaline. There are 3 ways to make your blood less acidic. First, eat more plant foods because plant foods are alkaline and have a higher percentage of water than other foods. Second, drink more water. Not water containing anything else, just plain, simple water. Hello! I do distilled and I add the minerals to it. Trace minerals. Your body needs those too. Third, eliminate foods from your diet that make the blood acidic. The major acid-forming foods in our diets include animal proteins, soft drinks, sugar, salt, caffeine, and alcohol. It's a simple list. Americans consume too much of all these products. In the case of sodium, we get most of it not from table salt, but indirectly in packaged and processed foods. In fact, dairy products and processed meat are the biggest source of sodium in the American diet. High acidity is bad for a number of reasons. First, high acid levels make our bodies more cancer-friendly by reducing the delivery of oxygen to the cells. In addition, cancer cells love highly acidic environments and do not do well in healthy alkaline environments. Second, a highly acidic environment disrupts the function of enzymes and the digestion of food. Undigested food gets passed into the colon and sits there rotting, and this can lead to toxic buildups and a number of health problems. The average American stores 4 to 22 pounds of old, sometimes decades old, fecal matter in their colons. John Wayne had almost 44 pounds of undigested sludge in his colon. Elvis had over 20 pounds. Wow. I'll give you the rest. Crayons people have swallowed as children have later been discovered in their 60-year-old colons. Third, when blood becomes too acidic, our bodies pull calcium from our bones and teeth to neutralize the acid, and this contributes to bone loss or osteoporosis. The body also pulls water from cells to neutralize high acid levels, and this leads to cell dehydration, which many experts believe is the #1 cause of premature aging. The way Americans consume antacids is a reflection of just how acidic our diet has become, but taking a calcium pill to neutralize high acid levels is treating a symptom. If you want to eliminate the problem, you'll have to radically cut back on acidic foods. By continually eating foods which cause high blood acid levels, we put our bodies in a state of constantly having to neutralize this acid by using the calcium stored up in our bones. Animal proteins are one of the most acid-forming foods in existence. And because of our high-protein diets, the biggest cause of high acid levels. One reason dairy products are poor choices for calcium is because they contain excessively high amounts of protein. Cow's milk has over 3 times more protein than human mother's milk. It was, after all, designed for a calf that will weigh over 300 pounds within a year of its birth. When you consume dairy products, the calcium simply passes through your body and ends up in the toilet, and your blood is even more acidic because of the protein. Low-fat dairy products are highest in protein, so you may lower your fat intake, but you will raise your blood acid levels, and this will contribute to bone loss. Skim milk, for example, contains almost twice the amount of protein as whole milk. And because of the high sodium content of dairy products, they provide a double boost to your acid levels. In short, consuming dairy products turns out to be the worst possible way to build strong bones. You don't need the sodium, the fat, the acidic proteins, the cholesterol, and you don't need the excess calcium, which can result in painful kidney stones. The cause of osteoporosis is not a lack of calcium in the diet, regardless of the advertising from the dairy industry. Populations that consume the highest amount of calcium have the highest amount of osteoporosis. In fact, the more calcium they consume, the higher their rates of osteoporosis. Conversely, the countries with the least amount of calcium consumption have the lowest rates of osteoporosis. Obviously, something else is going on because it's not a lack of calcium that's causing osteoporosis. What gives? Although Americans are swimming in calcium, the World Health Organization has yet to document a single case of calcium deficiency anywhere in the world. In fact, there has not been a single recorded case of calcium deficiency of a dietary origin in the history of the entire planet. Yet the dairy industry tells Americans they have a calcium deficiency. The problem, of course, is that the dairy industry has set U.S. standards for calcium consumption sky high through lobbying efforts. The calcium scare that has been going on in this country is, without question, the biggest nutritional swindle ever conceived. If you think this is an outrageous statement, then show me a single case of calcium deficiency of a dietary origin. If you're thinking of rickets, that disease is caused by a lack of vitamin D, not a lack of calcium. You'll hear health authorities say that women should get between 1,000 and 1,500 milligrams of calcium per day, while men should get 1,000 milligrams per day. What would these health authorities say to men and women throughout the world who get only 200 milligrams a day and have bones much stronger than Americans? In fact, 70-year-old women in third world countries who have nursed multiple children have bones stronger than most 40-year-old women in this country. And they get their calcium from plant foods, not dairy products. Osteoporosis is not genetic, and you don't have to suffer bone loss if you change your exercise and eating habits. When people say it runs in the family, it simply means the family has led a sedentary lifestyle over generations. Many women, including Dr. Ruth Heydrich, interviewed in the film Eating, increased their bone mass during and after menopause without dairy products or hormone replacement therapy. Bones are just like muscles. The single best thing you can do to prevent and reverse osteoporosis is to start exercising your bones, because a lack of physical activity is the primary cause of osteoporosis. Acidic diets will cause bone loss, but not as rapidly as a lack of exercise. People who argue that acidic diets are the primary cause of bone loss have a big flaw in their argument. There are lots of meat eaters with strong bones. This is because their activity levels strengthen their bones, despite a bad diet. Also, Obese women and men never get osteoporosis because they get lots of weight-bearing exercise just carrying their bodies around, regardless of their diet and calcium intake. Lighter women and men have increased chances of osteoporosis simply because their bodies don't have enough weight, unless they run or jog to add stress to their bones. In other words, lighter men and women need to engage in weight-bearing activity in order to strengthen their bones. Swimming is a good illustration how a lack of stress on the bones plays out because runners have higher femur bone densities than swimmers. It's never been proven that a plant-based diet alone can reverse osteoporosis. It has been proven that exercise reverses osteoporosis. In fact, NASA regularly reverses osteoporosis in astronauts when they return to Earth with an exercise program, not a change in diet. In fact, on that basis alone, exercise is the most proven way to reverse bone loss. Osteoporosis is a potentially huge problem for long-term spaceflight because, due to the lack of gravity, NASA is afraid they'd end up with boneless astronauts. There are no studies that I am aware of which factor both exercise and diet into the equation to determine which is more important. There are, however, hundreds, if not thousands of studies which show far more dramatic differences in bone density between those who get regular exercise and those who do not. And those differences are gigantic compared to studies that show differences in bone density between people eating different diets. On that basis alone, one has to conclude that exercise is the most important factor affecting bone density. The effect of weight-bearing activity on bone density are extraordinarily well documented and have consistently shown the same results over decades, regardless of diet. A recent study showed that varying levels of calcium intake, ranging from 500 milligrams a day to 1,800 milligrams a day, had absolutely no effect on bone strength. It was the exercise women got that was the key determinant in building strong bones. We're worrying about vitamin A and vitamin D and getting enough calcium, all these worries. But no one is worrying about getting enough exercise. Our worries are solely the result of advertising by the dairy industry and the government, which sponsors the dairy industry. Hello! To think you can just eat your way out of osteoporosis or take calcium supplements is ridiculous. Don't worry about calcium. Do worry about exercise. We have this crazy idea that somehow cows produce calcium. They're simply storage systems for the calcium they get from the plants they eat. Calcium comes from the earth, like all other minerals, and plant foods are the best place not only to get calcium, but all the other minerals the body needs. Get your calcium from inexpensive plant foods like the rest of the world does. Plant foods will keep your blood acid level in balance because they're alkaline, not acidic. Like protein, calcium is found in all plant foods, and the amounts will easily supplement the requirements of growing children and mature adults. Calcium from plant foods is more easily absorbed by bone than calcium from dairy products, and unlike dairy, calcium from plants comes in a disease-fighting, low-fat, high-fiber package. Cut back or eliminate all foods that contribute to high acid levels. Diet and exercise are the keys to preventing and reversing osteoporosis. A change in diet will prevent bone loss, and exercise is the only way to build strong bones. To demonstrate just how much calcium is in plant foods, a quick comparison of the calcium content of dairy products versus plant foods is shown in these. You want to snapshot that. Snapshot Am I getting it, guys? And then snapshot that. Surprised to see all those plant foods have more calcium than 2% milk? Of course, you're probably saying, but I would have to eat so much more spinach or kale to get adequate calcium. This is not true because individuals on plant-based diets generally eat as many calories as people eating the standard American diet. In other words, you can get all the calcium you need from the original source of calcium without getting it secondhand in a package of saturated fat and cholesterol. Another way to look at it is to compare the calcium content of plant foods to mother's milk. And that was it. I've already shown you both of them. And that's where he leads off. So, osteoporosis, exercise. It's all about what do you do? What do you do? Are you having fun? Come join me. It's fun, I promise. Hey, my friend, are you having fun? Does the kid say, what does the kid say? What's it time to play? What are we going to go play?
Mario.
Mario, it's Mario time. Bye, guys.